So is Devin so good because he smokes pot? Relaxes
Yeah,
him?
it
He gets a
probably
nice
would
sleep
probably
before?
would help. Yeah, anything to keep your nerves calm
And what about super match format? Mistakes you'd see commonly with super matches.
well, we discussed a little earlier about super matches. Super matches are definitely in my mind different than open tournament matches.
PR lifestyle is more than just hitting a PR in the squat, bench, or deadlifts. A PR could be going a week without skipping a meal. It's about being the best version of yourself, always improving.
Come on, somebody out there sitting working harder than you. No! Somebody working harder. Hurry up! Let's go! Somebody going outwork you. Somebody outwork you right now.
You versus you.
Welcome back to the channel. Here I am with John Brzenk, the GOAT, the living legend, here in his backyard. And I have a few questions for him. So with all of his experience of how many decades of arm wrestling you have now?
Oh, almost 4 now. Yeah,
Wow.
4.
Oh my. Nearly 40 years of arm wrestling experience. There probably isn't anyone better on the planet to ask what I'm about to ask next, which is rather than going through things you recommend arm wrestlers doing, things you've seen over the years with your experience that are common mistakes. For example, in practice pulls, in super match format pulls, in tournaments, like common mistakes you see people do that they could have had a much better performance if they didn't do that mistake.
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is just the mental mistakes of trying to do too much as the tournament comes close. Worrying about the match, having the match go over and over in your head can be very taxing, I think, mentally and physically. Even one step worse than that would be actually testing yourself when you've gone to an event because you want to get that confidence that you're ready and there's nothing worse that someone could do than actually, touch somebody else's arm, the day before the tournament. So keeping calm, keeping control of yourself, your emotions, having the confidence to know that your preparations were good and you're ready, and just not to overthink it. I see so many people, even pros, that are just worrying themselves sick over the match the next day, and they can't even sleep the night before. It's like, dude, this is bad for you, right? You cannot. So why do you do it to yourself? Why do you continue to think about it and worry about it? So that would be the first thing.
So is Devin so good because he smokes pot? Relaxes
Yeah,
him?
it probably would help. Yeah, anything to keep your nerves calm, and but with experience comes the confidence to recognize that, right? People, I've recognized them many years ago. Like, whenever I try to get that little extra rev, I end up doing horrible, come the tournament. When I'm relaxed and not worried about it, or it's a last minute deal like your super match, now you're going to be super fresh. You're not overdoing it, not overthinking it.
Yeah, that's true.
I've done my best, so I've realized that a long time ago. So now my approach into most matches are just like, take a nap right before they call my name to the table, right? So.
You're as relaxed as can be then.
As relaxed as you can be. Trust me, you'll be just as strong and sharp and focused waking up from a dead sleep, getting called to the table, versus being over there going, oh, what should I do? What should I do? What do you think? How do you think I should,
That's true.
Do that for a day and, mess.
How about you probably heard this one before, too many cooks spoil the dish. Someone like in my case that has several coaches, a lot of people trying to tell them to do something differently, like, no, do it my way.
Yeah,
do it this way.
No, and I've got an opinion on that too. Like, that's why I'm a horrible coach. It's like, people ask me for my opinion on that. Like, you got to figure it out for yourself. It's your experience. It's I could tell you my experience, but it's not going to stick. It's not going to really resonate with you until you've done it yourself and felt that particular arm wrestler and experienced that situation. And it takes a lot of repetition. It takes time. It takes years to actually have it. Oh, okay, now I got it. Now it's sticking in the long-term memory. Now I know, and have it be more reactionary than something that you have to be told and try to think about. But yeah, everybody's got their way, but everybody's built a little different. So what works for them works for them. It's not going to necessarily work for you.
Exactly. And some coaches trying to teach you their way.
Their way, right.
But they don't teach you what way is going to work best for you.
But they're not in your frame, so they don't know what you're feeling and know what's best for you. Right. And things that are best for you depend on your opponent, right? I mean, you can obviously see, you just crushed me left-handed, the way outside. Well, if I change it up a little bit and get you on the wrist, wow, hey, there's an opening there. Like,
yes.
Okay, so.
Okay.
So what do you,
That's right. Very true. And what about super match format? Mistakes you'd see commonly with super matches?
Well, we discussed a little earlier about super matches. Super matches are definitely, in my mind, different than open tournament matches. Open tournament matches, you want to be explosive, you want to be quick to the table, you don't want to screw around with the grip, you want to conserve energy because it's a long-term thing. You've got a dozen opponents that you have to go through, and you want to be as fresh as you can be. So sometimes in an open tournament, you'll give away little things just to not be fatigued because of the fight. Super match situation is completely different. You're purposely trying to wear down your opponent, and especially if you're a guy like Devin, who's more of an endurance athlete, it works even better to be able to do everything you can to prolong the match and to really fight from the beginning to the end of the grip to before the matches even start. So. Different approaches. Super match, obviously, if you can do the right things in the first round, typically it ends the super match, right? You can have a dominant edge based on what you do in that first round. So I see a lot of people have the approach of going on the defense and basically bleeding their opponent of all their energy, and I find myself doing that now. In the past, I was a very explosive arm wrestler where it was very important to have the hit, the offensiveness, and straight to the pad as quick as I could be, as efficient as I could be. In super match format now, I'm finding, it's that rocking back and letting my opponent try to be offensive and just absorbing, provides such benefits for the continuing rounds. So I find myself even doing that now. So, but. I mean, you got to still find your niche. I mean, there are still different classifications, I think, for arm wrestlers. There's the sprinters, there's the Iraklis that are the Arsenalevs that are, 40-yard dash guys in 4.2, and then there's guys that are more like Devin that are going to outrun you in the 880. So they're more their body type is more suited for that long fight.
And what about when it comes to training, just general training, whether it's with a partner or in a club? See, like in Dubai, we had the problem of, at least in my case, getting good training in, but also wanting to create content. So I think even if you're not a YouTuber, people are always inclined nowadays to just record every match they have, and that's not really practice anymore. I feel it's a super match, right? Because you don't want to lose, but practice about winning or losing. But then maybe you disagree. Maybe you feel like you should just test your limits in practice. And I just want to hear what you think about that.
Different theories. I mean, I've heard Devin's theory. I don't know why I keep going back to Devin. I guess it's because he's on the top of the game right now. But so you got to pay attention to some of the stuff that he says. But I mean, there's different theories to that. I've typically gone full out, try to find the strongest arm and do my max lifts when I was fresh to really stress the tendons out as much as I could in the past. But I'm not sure if that's correct for continued growth in a fast basis. Maybe going to 80% would allow you to be able to go to 80% again in 3 or 4 days.
Right.
Devin's got a different approach than I do. I arm wrestle maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, where he's going every day, every other day. So it just depends, I guess, on what you feel like is working the best for you. Yeah, just a lot of high stress situations. In the past, when I was a kid, I would basically, my arm wrestling training would be just arm wrestling tournaments. I mean, there was a time where I was going to a tournament almost every week or every other week. Wow. So there was really no training involved, because my training was going to the tournament, arm wrestling, the tournament, and then after pulling. I mean, I would just get great workouts. I mean, I was using the whole country to basically get stronger and more efficient at the sport of arm wrestling. So
you can't be experienced. I mean, doing
I don't even know.
every other week.
I don't even know if it's experience. I think it's, yeah. Well, yes, it's experience, but it's just building the strength in all the right areas, and allowing different arms to really, to build that strength, because everybody's going to pull you a little bit different. So, but yeah, as we talked earlier, again, I believe that the arm wrestling strength. Obviously, it helps if you start at a real young age. The body's going to be able to lay down that collagen and strengthen those tendons and make them super thick and hard and strong. But it's a little different than weightlifting training, I think. Weightlifting training, I think typically you can ramp up pretty quick. In a 5 months, 6 months, a year, you're big difference between and then stopping, and then all of a sudden you can noticeably see.
Right.
With arm wrestling, I think once you've developed those tendons, they stick around for a long, long time. I mean, maybe it's like riding a bike. I mean, once they're there, they don't ever go away.
Yeah, for sure.
You're even saying that you think Devin is stronger now than he was for Levan.
I think so.
Like,
Yeah.
he's reaping the benefits of that training pre-Levan
I mean,
now.
he'll say it's the stem cells, but I'll say, okay, well, maybe it's the fact that you trained so hard and arm wrestled so much for that 5-6 month lead up to Levan, and it didn't really show itself for Levan. But here we are, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, and he's stronger than he's ever been. So yeah, that time frame was needed to really to show the gains that he worked so hard for.
Interesting.
And what I'm most interested about is 40 years later, arm wrestling. How's that arm feel? How's your right arm feel after all that arm wrestling?
The arm is actually really good. I mean, I know that I have. I'm not even sure I would classify it as arthritis. Tendons will actually make a ratcheting noise, and I don't know if that's a dryness in the tendons or what's going on. The joints, obviously, my shoulder's been an issue. It's something that I can really tell that is not, it grinds a lot. So I have, the hands feel arthritic a little bit. They don't have the sharpness that I did when I was a kid.
Can you straighten your arm out completely?
Pretty decent.
Oh, not bad.
Close enough.
I ended up actually breaking my inner elbow, that golfer's elbow, when I was 13 years old, and that locked my arm up like this. And for the longest time, it was, not super straight because of that break.
Oh, so that's how he made all those gains when he was a kid.
Yeah, no,
That explains everything.
if you want a world champion, you need to start on your grandkids when they're 11, 12, 13 years old. 'Cause those are the prime ages for building strong tendons and ligaments and that connective tissue and joints. Don'ts. Like, what were you thinking of?
Well, anything along the lines of, like, again, mistakes you've seen, like in tournaments, super matches, practice pulls, like really common mistakes that even like elite arm wrestlers make.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can make a mistake. I mean, everything comes with the experience. I mean, even when it's a mistake, it's a good experience, right? You say, okay, shit, I don't want to do that again.
Yes, that's true.
No.
All right, guys, so that's the don'ts of arm wrestling with John Brzenk. If you don't follow him, please do. Link down below. Has an active YouTube channel, Instagram, everything, the whole nine. And he has a super match on February 25th with the legend, Denis Cyplenkov.
Cyplenkov, yeah.
Cyplenkov.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah. Love you, Dennis. And that's on February 25th. Link down below. Please support arm wrestling, and we will have many more great pay-per-view events coming your way in the U.S. So now that Adam and I are based here in the U.S., in the future, we'll be hosting them here in the U.S., and we look forward to giving you guys opportunities to pull at King of the Table in the near future. Yeah, so was your dad a good arm wrestler?
He didn't start arm wrestling until he was probably in his mid-30s, so he had a kind of a late start. But he progressed pretty good for his age. State level champion. He would go to national championships, but typically would be down the pile a little bit, fourth, fifth. He never top guy, but he arm wrestled a lot of the very top guys in the sport at the time. But, he loved it, but yeah, he didn't have the advantage that I did to start when he was 13 years old. So, but he's a big part of the reason I'm as good as I am is because I followed him around at such a young age.
Okay. So he's the main reason you got into this?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. None of my family and friends did arm wrestling. I only know through Adam that it was a sport.
Yeah, and I told you that earlier that I broke my arm when I was 13 years old, and I've seen a lot of other arm wrestlers' kids do the exact same injury that I have in it, and typically it's 12, 13 years old, so there must be a shift at that point. But when I'm here again, I think that was also maybe a benefit for me. It didn't kill me, so it made me stronger. I stopped arm wrestling after that happened for about 3-4 years. My mom and dad were split up at the time, so I came back to Utah and didn't arm wrestle again until I was probably 17. But yeah, I think it had a big part of why my inner elbow was so stable because it was injured at such a young age.
Could be why.
It helped. I think it helped.
You're gonna break your elbow, Larry?
No.
So you can
If I was 13, yeah. I think I'm too late now.
I don't know if you know this or not, but Devin's boy did the exact same injury that I did.
At 13.
At 13,
Wow.
yeah. So he's going to be
That
a
is crazy.
nasty hombre here in about 10 years. You wait and see. It won't even take 10 years, 7-8 years. He's going to be with that genetics and that injury. Oh, shit.
That's awesome. Like he's following his dad's footsteps like you did in yours. Mm-hmm. Same injury, same age, same legacy, getting passed on.
Yeah,
Well, Devin, I guess, was a better arm wrestler than your dad, for sure, right?
Yeah, and he started much younger age.
Devin did.
Yeah. It'd have been interesting to see how well my dad could have done. My dad actually said my grandfather was the real arm wrestler. Yeah, my dad couldn't beat my grandpa when they would just kind of fart around, not really serious arm wrestling when they were.
Well, they say genes skip generations.
Skip a generation, right?
Yeah. So maybe your grandpa.
It's the cause of the real reason.
Like my dad's 5'9", but my grandfather's 6'4".
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that's crazy.
So I'm pretty sure it skipped a generation.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Thank you, sir. Very special pizza. Made just for us.